distinctions in the different kind of Baptists are local, political, cultural,
where you're very conscious of being a minority to a land where everyone observes your religion and your customs.
Meditation and Zen Buddhism, which sustains their daily life and helps clarify the meaning of Buddhism.
We have to look at what we have in common and not look at what sets us apart.
Not fearing one another, but getting to know one another. And getting to know one another, we actually end up getting to know ourselves much better.
Hello Nava, welcome to our home.
Thank you.
I enjoyed all the questions that you had for me. I would like to know more about the Baha'i faith.
Sure.
How or when did you start in believing in the Baha'i religion?
I was brought up in a Baha'i household. So my parents had instilled the Baha'i principles and ideologies and teachings from the moment I was born and through my upbringing. But I officially signed and reaffirmed my faith in Baha'u'llah and in the Baha'i faith when I was around 15 or 16 years of age. But I remember that it was very important to myself and my family to practice this one principle in the Baha'i faith, which was called the independent investigation of the truth. Baha'u'llah says that each individual was endowed with a capacity to know and to understand the truth and to see the light for themselves. So he says that there should never be a pressure from parents or a forcing from the parents to a child in becoming any one religion. And it's up to that child, when they reach that age of maturity, to discover and to research all the religions themselves and come to that understanding of what the Baha'i faith really is and understand what the other religions really all represent. So it was around 15 or 16 that I officially signed my card to say that I was an active member of the Baha'i community.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And what do you all have any ritualistic like we do in the Hindu faith, or well, I mean, how do you all do your prayers, or what is the life of a Baha'i at a personal level?
See, that's a really good question, because one thing that I've always known about the Baha'i faith is that there are no traditions, or there are no rituals. Because the Baha'i faith is one of the most widest spread religions in the world, I find that a tradition or a ritual is often kept and isolated to a specific country depending on that individual and that person's culture. So the Baha'i faith, what guides us is not so much the ritual or the tradition, but what guides us is the teachings. So everyone around the world, whether you are in a tribe in Africa or whether you're on some isolated island, you are following one truth and you're following one light. But as far as the prayers go, of course we are encouraged to pray and to meditate. It is the right and the blessing of each Baha'i to practice these things, just like in Hinduism. We have our obligatory prayers. So there are a set of prayers in which we say at specific times a day, but you only choose one. And then we are, of course, encouraged to pray in the morning and at night, and to meditate on the Holy Scriptures and the writings of Baha'u'llah, which we are blessed to have.
So, Nava, I wanted to ask you another question, which was, how did you, or what made you keep to the Baha'i faith, or the principles of the Baha'i faith?
The principles of the Baha'i faith are what attracted me to becoming a Baha'i and becoming an active Baha'i in my community. I felt that they were so relevant and so applicable to this day and age that it would be ignorant of me not to understand them and to use them and to reap them and apply them to my life. I think principles like the equality between men and women. In the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah and Abdul Baha have spoke about how society is a bird, and that one wing of the bird is a man and one wing of the bird is a woman, and that if each of these wings are not in balance with one another or are not equal with one another, then society cannot progress. To me, that made a lot of sense. That's one of the principles of the Baha'i faith that attracted me to the Baha'i faith. Another principle is this understanding that the economic problem of today can be resolved through spiritual solutions. That's something that Baha'u'llah has given insight into and that we as Baha'is are trying to put into practice every day. So I felt that that again was relevant to me in my life. So to me, the Baha'i faith as a youth and as a young individual, my religion, I knew, had to be something that was logical and rational, at the same time spoke to my heart and my soul and my mind, but was applicable so that I could practice it every day. And it was understandable, and I felt that it would be the guiding force that would help me spiritually live a life in this material realm.
It's very interesting. I like this idea of, one wing being of a man and another being. Makes very good sense.
I do too.
What is the role of women in the Baha'i faith?
Baha'u'llah, from my research that I have done, I cannot speak for everyone, or all the other Baha'is, is my own interpretation. Baha'u'llah was the first manifestation to actually claim as a divine principle that there is an equality between man and woman, and that each play, that doesn't mean that they are the same and that their roles are the same, but that they play an equal role in the progress of humanity. Baha'u'llah has exalted the station of the woman, especially when he's discussing the rearing of the children. And he says that there is this phrase or this analogy or this understanding in the Baha'i faith that if one cannot afford to send both his son and his daughter to college, he should send his daughter to college for an education, because she inevitably is the first and prime vital teacher of the children. So the education of the woman is very, very important in the Baha'i faith.
So in the Baha'i faith, what is it that leads you to believe in all the different religions?
I think that was one of the main things that also attracted me to the Baha'i faith, is because Baha'u'llah brought this idea and this clarification to all the religions not being separate entities, but being one. He brought these three core understandings of the oneness of religion, not that they are all the same, but they're the same light. Their principles might be different as far as their social laws might go, but their spiritual foundation is the same. And that either it be Krishna or Buddha or Muhammad or Jesus, they all had the light of God within them when they came to be the divine teachers to us at that point of time in civilization. So I believe in the oneness of God. That's the other oneness. So there's oneness of religion, the oneness of God, that when we all pray, we're all praying to the one God. And we talked about this earlier, you and I, that we worship God, but by different names. And then there's the oneness of mankind, that man might not look the same outwardly, but we are all made from the same dust, and we're all spiritual creatures, so that there is a unity in mankind.